Hello everyone, this is James Shore with our final how-to video. I am recording this on February 2nd, 2016. In this series, we have been building a tab application, a simple little tab switching effect, and that is completely done. We have looked at it over the course of several chapters, and in the last episode, we looked at using mock objects and other test doubles as well. You can see the code here. It's also available on GitHub or by following the link on your screen. It's a very simple little problem, but as I mentioned at the beginning of this series, this hasn't really been about creating the tab effect, although of course we have learned about the DOM and how to deal with clicks and making changes to the DOM. But as I said at the beginning, this is really about lots of professional tools, not so much tools in the sense of using things like Jake or Lint, JS Hint, but tools in terms of thinking tools. How do professionals approach their work? So what we've done over the course of this series is we've set up a reproducible build. We've talked about using Lint and JS Hint. We've set up Karma for cross-browser testing, and if you'll recall, we have IE11, IE9, Safari, Chrome, Firefox, Android, and the iOS simulator running here, and we can get all of that running with just one command. That is part of what a professional development environment looks like. From cross-browser testing, we went on to front-end modules. We have the ability to actually split our JavaScript into multiple files. We're using Browserify for that. And then we spent a good amount of time talking about test-driven development, my favorite way of creating code that is high quality. We talked about what test-driven development looked like and then how to implement our tab library using test-driven development. There was a lot of discussion of design and refactoring in there, and I really recommend that you take a second look at those episodes at some point with the benefit of hindsight. Then finally, we wired up our library to our production application, creating this little piece of code right here, and talked about what happens when TTD fails and more design concerns. And then finally, in the last episode, looked at mock objects, an often poorly used technique that you need to understand just so you know what to avoid. Now we're done. Where do you go from here? Well, what we have shown you in this series is how to be a capable junior software engineer. If you came into this coming from a code school or out of college, you probably learned how to build programs, but you didn't learn how to do true software engineering, how to work in a team environment making maintainable code. That's what this series has been all about. Now that you have those skills, you are basically at the level of a junior engineer. What I would like to talk to you now is how to get from junior software engineer to a regular or even senior software engineer. The difference between a junior engineer and a standard software engineer or a senior software engineer is the junior software engineer needs to be told what to do. The non-juniors, the regular software engineers, the senior software engineers, they just figure it out. And the senior software engineer goes one step further by raising the level of the people around her. Now, of course, every workplace is going to have their own definitions for these terms, but these are the ones I use. So in this series, what I have been doing is presenting at the junior software engineer level of understanding. I've presented how to do something that I figured out in advance. There was some figuring out of what to do as we went, but for the most part, I just gave you the answer. In the real world, if you want to move beyond the junior status, you've got to get to the point where you get a hard problem, you don't know how to figure it out, and nobody's there to tell you. That's where the live channel comes in. You'll notice that at the time of this recording, we have 4 channels. We have the how-to channel, which you're watching now, the recorded live channel, the lessons learned channel, and the lab. In the live channel, and to a degree in the lab, I don't just present to you the solution, but instead we solve problems together. So what you're going to see if you start watching the live channel is that some of these episodes were recorded years ago and they are a bit out of date. And that's not why I want you to watch them. You don't watch these episodes because they show you how to do something. No, instead, what you will see in these episodes is how a senior software engineer approaches problem solving. You're going to see us see linting for the very first time. You're going to see us figure out test frameworks, again, for the very first time. We're going to solve karma together and DOM and stuff that you have actually seen in this series for the first time. And seeing how that problem, how that thought process is approached, I think is very valuable. So my recommendation for next steps for you is to check out the live channel. Start at the beginning, not to learn how to use specific tools because they are out of date, but instead to understand the thought process. Now, you may find that the live channel is still a little bit too advanced for you. If that's the case, then what I would recommend is that you go through the how-to channel again. Do all of the exercises at the end of each episode, and if you haven't done them yet, go back through it again, and this time, do the challenge exercises. The challenge exercises or bonus exercises are designed to stretch your capabilities. If you do the regular exercises, you're basically going to follow something that I've already told you how to do. It's basically junior software engineer level problems. The challenge exercises, though, they're all built to have you solve problems that I haven't explained yet. You're going to have to do independent investigation. Some of them are more difficult than others, and I try to call those out. The ones that I say are particularly difficult, don't feel like you have to do those before you move on. But once you do those, if you go through and do all of the regular exercises, you'll be solidly at the junior level. If you can go through it again and do the challenge exercises, you'll be ready to move on to the non-junior level, to the standard software engineer level. And follow that up by looking at the live channel and seeing how we approach the occasionally very challenging problems that we run into there. There are hundreds of episodes here. I recommend that you start at the beginning, but if that starts getting a little bit dull and you'd like to move on to more current topics, skip on down to the bottom. At the time of this recording, our most recent chapter is on real-time web, and it starts, or our most recent season is on the real-time web, and it starts with chapter 50. That is a good starting point. It's designed to allow people to jump in who haven't seen things before. It also has links back to all the other seasons to help you find them. So if you're not interested in starting out with the really old stuff, skip ahead to chapter 50, but do be aware it's got a lot of advanced material in it. You might be better off starting with chapter 1. And with that, you have your diploma. If you've gone through all the episodes and done all the exercises, the basic exercises, you are ready to work in a real production professional environment as a junior software engineer. Congratulations. Thank you for joining me, and hope you continue your journey with me by looking into what it takes to solve these sorts of problems on your own and move beyond the level of junior software engineer to the standard and eventually senior software engineer level. Thank you very much for joining me. It's been a pleasure having you along for the journey. Please feel free to make comments, share your ideas on the episodes in the comment section below each one. You can find all the source code on GitHub, accessed by the links underneath each video. If you watch the live channel, you might find yourself enjoying it more if you skip to the end of each chapter and look at the source code to see how the problems were solved. I encourage you to do that. That is it for this series. Thank you very much, and I hope to see you next time.